true working class heroes and patriots who simply wanted to be able to feed their families and leave something better for their children. Ask any working person today. The goals are the same. Want to keep a roof over the kids' head, put some food on the table, clothes on their backs, give them an opportunity for a future that we did not have. That's not unique to us in this moment. That's humanity. And I go back to those stories that my grandfather told of, yeah, they came back from World War II. Some of them came back from World War I. And they knew a thing or two. And they weren't going to take it. But I think this story, and I hope folks will take a look at it. This story, a little different. The story of organizing, yes, and the machinations of ideas and ideology and all of the intricacies of how this stuff works, but also the political power that has to come from this. And it's the thing that Donald Trump is fighting the hardest right now. The political power, the empowerment of organized workers to demand, I want better health care, I want better retirement, I want higher wages, I want to be able to, I don't know, put food on the table, a roof over their head, clothes on their backs. And if they get sick, I don't want to have to worry about going bankrupt. That has to be crushed out of us. That has to be snuffed away. Because the wealth class has always wanted compliant, desperate, pliable workers. Exploitable. You know, like it was in the golden age. Like it was for the Gilded Years where we had our wealthy rubbing our nose in it. The question is how long will we put up with this charade? Because I'm dumbfounded most of the time when a working person tells me that Donald Trump cares about them. I'm dumbfounded when a working person who's barely making ends meet looks at Doge Boy and says, yep, Elon Musk's got my interests at heart. Yeah, I'm struggling with that. Now I wonder, and again, I wish we could have a time machine to go back. I gotta wonder how many people of the day thought, the Vanderbilts or Carnegie or Rockefellers were the saints and the heroes of the day. I don't know. I'm sure there were some. But given today's mass media, given today's social media, given the opioid that we stick in our eyes every day by looking at this nonsense candy, I don't know. The country I thought we were, we're not. The people I thought we were collectively, we're not. Individually, look, I love my neighbors. I love people who reach a helping hand out to each other. But you do that mostly individually. When we get into groups, I don't know. I'm struggling with that in this moment. I see some good. I see people showing up and saying we want to defend democracy, and that's helpful. We need more of it. But out of this, we've got to grow some leaders. And with them, we've got to grow some stones. And we've got to take this bull by the horns. And we've got to fight back. Want to hear your thoughts. What are you doing? What's the plan? I've had a lot of people say, I'm just ducking and covering. I don't think that's the answer. I think we got to run face first into this. But I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Miss any portion of the program, grab the podcast. freespeech.org. That's where you'll find our TV work. And for our TV audience, on Monday, we'll be at a new time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We're moving from 5 to 3. Looking forward to that. As always, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you back here next time.
You've been listening to The Rick Smith Show. Email Rick at rick@thericksmithshow.com. Until next time, this has been The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.
AP AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Another Russian drone attack on Friday struck an apartment building, killing 3 and injuring 10 in a southeastern Ukraine city. Russian forces fired over 100 drones at 5 Ukrainian regions overnight, according to Ukraine's Air Force. Authorities in the northeastern Sumy and Kharkiv regions reported damage to civilian infrastructure but no casualties. The attack comes a day after Russia's deadliest assault on the capital since July. On Thursday, President Trump offered rare criticism of Vladimir Putin, urging the leader to stop on his Truth Social platform. Washington has been attempting to negotiate a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, but little progress has been made. AP correspondent Karen Shamas reports on tensions in Kashmir.
Indian officials have said the army had a brief exchange of fire with Pakistani soldiers along their highly militarized frontier in the Himalayan region of Kashmir. 3 Indian army officials said that Pakistani soldiers used small arms to fire at an Indian position in Kashmir late on Thursday. They also said that Indian soldiers retaliated and no casualties were reported. The report of a gunfight comes amid soaring tensions between New Delhi and Islamabad after gunmen killed 26 people near the resort town of Pahalgam in Kashmir on Tuesday. India immediately described the massacre as a terror attack and said it had cross-border links, blaming Pakistan for backing it. Pakistan denied any connection to the attack, which was claimed by a previously unknown militant group calling itself the Kashmir Resistance. I'm Karen Shamas.
50 heads of state and 10 reigning sovereigns will be attending Pope Francis' funeral on Saturday. Tens of thousands of mourners have waited in line to bid farewell to Francis. In keeping with the Pope's humble persona, the Vatican said a group of poor and needy people will meet the Pope's coffin when it arrives at St. Mary Major Basilica for burial on Saturday. This is AP News. A confident quarterback is leading the way for the class of 2025 at the NFL Draft in Green Bay.
Cam Ward has gone from 0-star recruit to #1 pick in the NFL Draft.
At the end of the day, I want to be the greatest to do it. I'm not looking up to no man. I want everybody to look up to me.
After the Titans selected the Miami quarterback first overall, the Jaguars moved up from number 5 to select Heisman Trophy winner and two-way standout Travis Hunter out of Colorado at number 2.
I just did my best Duval back there, but I got you.
Edge rusher Abdul Carter, LSU left tackle Will Campbell, and Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham went 3-4-5 to the Giants, Patriots, and Browns. Ashton Genty went to the Raiders at 6.
Super duper excited.
The Giants traded up to select Ole Miss QB Jackson Dart at number 25. Colorado QB Shadur Sanders was not drafted in the first round. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for today with cloudy skies, a high in the mid-60s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Then for tonight, a slight chance for rain showers early on, cloudy, a low near 42. By Saturday, skies will become mostly sunny, high 53 degrees. Sunday, plenty of blue skies and sun. We'll see a high around 66. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 48.
Ready to turn heads? Find your new Porsche at the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park and add iconic style to every drive. Stop in today to browse and test drive the latest models, including the 2025 Porsche Cayenne. And right now, lease the 2025 Macan Electric for only $999 a month for 39 months. Find style, power, and your new Porsche today. Shop electric Porsche models and more by visiting the Porsche Exchange in Highland Park or PorscheExchange.com. 8,690 to a time. Excludes tax, title, license, and doc fee. No security deposit required. Expires 4/30/25.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chu.
Good Friday morning, progressives. And and welcome to the April 25th, 2025 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278. Facebook Live is where you can catch us and catch the stream. Is that okay, Henry? All right, cool. Tune in radio, YouTube, iHeart. Of course, email me at richard@WCPT820.com. Catch me on Substack. Probably will drop another little knowledge this weekend. My article on message to David Hogg and the Young Guns definitely got some people's attention, and that's a conversation. We'll get into that hopefully when we talk a little bit about Democratic strategy. But catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There you can get Choose Views, short version and long version. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. Driving it home with the wonderful Patty Vasquez. The Big Picture with Edwin. Getting It Done, Eisendrath. Going to have a big show this weekend out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. Check out our heartlandsignal.com digital platform because there are some very, very informative, great items there. In particular, one of the articles and posts that we have there right now that you guys should check out is Heartland Signal on X. It's a report about the Trump administration's cuts to Head Start could slash benefits for thousands of children and families in Michigan. Over 25,000 children could lose access to Head Start programs just in the state of Michigan alone. So you want to check out that article and that post over at our heartlandsignal.com site. It will be very informative. I can assure you of that. And, of course, today being Friday, it's a busy day. We got a lot going on. And so, on today's show, since it's Friday, of course, we're going to be talking about a lot of things that have happened this week and then what's going to be going on next week. As you guys know, the services for Pope Francis will be taking place tomorrow. So much respect and all to his legacy. And to the hearts of the folks that will be paying him his respects. Tomorrow will be a very big day, so everybody be mindful of that in your thoughts and in your observations and whatever you do when we have that kind of a, as we call it, going home services for Pope Francis. Today on the show, Karen Byrne, TruBlu Politics podcast, will be with us here in studio. And our guest on the show today, we have a conversation with one of our local commissioners, Precious Brady-Davis, Metropolitan Water Reclamation District Commissioner. Again, kind of keeping our thumb on environment and what's good for our community here locally is also good for the region and the country at large. So looking forward to talking to the commissioner in the 7:30 hour. What will we be topically covering today? I've asked this question and you guys have responded. I want to hear a little bit more. What do you want the national Democrats to be focused on right now? Love to hear from you with calling in today because we'll be taking your calls in the 6:30 to 7 hour, and probably when Karen's on with us too, we'll take a few calls. But I want to hear I want to know what you guys want to see nationally from Democrats in terms of what they should be focused on. What you think should be the most critical things that the Democratic leaders on all levels should be focused on at this point. Some of the things we could say are obvious, but I want to hear from you because it's important. As you heard with pretty much every guest that we've had on recently, there has been a conversation around what we all should be doing, what folks should be doing. And so that's the reason that I want to hear from you, because every person that's come on, not every person, let me clean that up. Most people that have come on have said something along the lines of being active. So part of being active, I believe, is to have and know that I'm having a hand in what's going on. Sometimes that means pushing our leaders, as we've said before, to doing the things that we want to have them do, or at least talking about it, calling. So I want to hear from you guys today. It's Friday, so we'll do our best to get your calls in, starting in the 6:30 hour today, because we're going to be kind of running and gunning these next few minutes before we hit our couple of breaks. Dem strategy. Ken Martin, the DNC chair, got a little bit to chat about what he's doing in that space. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the ABA, American Bar Association, cutting jobs. That's crazy. And Fox News turning their back, or at least a shoulder, on Donald Trump. And some of the numbers indicate that. We talked about how he's failing with independence, and that's a big deal. So we'll get into that as the show goes along. And I'm sure Karen and I are going to chop it up well and serve it to you pleasantly. So I don't know about pleasantly, but we'll definitely chop it up. Some great clips from Senators Warnock, Ossoff, White House. And I'll touch on a little bit of information regarding what colleges and universities are doing and what they're looking at specifically. We have a clip from Harvard University, so we'll get to that in a bit. Making sure that you guys are tuning in to all of our broadcasts today live. Local and progressive Joan Esposito will be taking your calls for the first half of the show, then talking to Craig Bodogowski of Mark Drugs and Lydia Krupinski, Vice President of Community Engagement for Anti-Cruelty, Tim Murphy, national correspondent at Mother Jones, and photographer Tim Samaria, and writer Mark Plotnick, on their recent, this is really cool, published book, 70s Chicagoland Rock Concerts. Live, local, and progressive, weekdays 2 to 5. That's none other than Joan Esposito here on WCPT. And yes, Chicago's progressive talk for 2 decades. Driving it home tonight, Patty Vasquez will be joined by Denise Slipey, candidate for Minnesota State Senate in a special April 29th election. And William He, 18-year-old founder and CEO of Dream for America, a national youth movement dedicated to identifying, educating, and empowering students to promote liberal values. William founded Dream for America on July 4th, 2023, at just 16 years of age. That's what I'm talking about. Driving it home with none other than Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Central Time, of course, WCPT AM 820, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Tomorrow, big picture, as I said, Edwin Eisendrath's show. Guests will include Tiffany Muller, president of End Citizens United. Right on to that. Jonathan Katz, senior director of anti-corruption, democracy, and security at the Brookings, at the Brookings Institution, and Renee DiResta, professor and writer whose research includes none other than propaganda, disinformation, social media, and technology and policy. The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath tomorrow, 1 to 4 p.m. here on WCPT. On Monday's show, keeping it going, Dr. Erie Crawford, author and business psychologist with over 25 years of experience in social work, will be with us. And Sarah Jones, managing editor and co-publisher of Politicus USA. Looking forward to talking with Sarah because she's always got something cool to say. And make sure you're checking out our voicemail line as WCPT celebrates our 20th year. 20 years on air. We want to hear your WCPT story. Call 773-467-8202 today and leave a voicemail. We'll be playing some of the messages on the air. We'll probably get to more of those next week. That number again is 773-467-8202. And a recording from none other than Patty Vasquez will greet you with suggestions for recording your story. All right, guys, we are here. It's Friday, and what can I tell you? We made it through another week with all the craziness that's going on. I've got an interesting clip that we're going to play, kind of send you on your way in a good manner toward the end of the show. So I hope you guys will like that. But, Henry, let's take a quick break, come back, choose views, news, things to do in Chicago. How's that sound? Let's do it. All right, guys, 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
Thanks to our loyal WCPT listeners, the WCPT 20th anniversary broadcast is officially sold out.
But you can still enjoy the broadcast by listening to WCPT Radio on Saturday, May 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Hal Sparks will kick things off at 11 a.m., then hand it off to WCPT hosts Richard Chu, Joan Esposito, Patty Vasquez, and Scott Duff at 1 o'clock.
Surprise guests from WCPT's 20-year history will also join us.
Scroll through 20 years of WCPT Radio with legendary interviews, shows, and pictures on the WCPT 820 website. WCPT's live broadcast is sponsored by Max and Benny's Restaurant in Northbrook, Fazio Insurance, Smart 265, Kane County Dems, Southland Friends of Labor, Democratic Party of McHenry County, and McHenry County Democratic Women. It's the WCPT 20th Anniversary live broadcast Saturday, May 3rd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Only on WCPT 820, Chicago's only progressive talk radio station for 20 years.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Choose View with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. All right, April 25th, a couple of Choose Views news items. Of course, the computer wants to be a little bit goofy. Get out of here. There we go. Tourism decline could ding, of all companies, Disney. Trump's trade policies have prompted a pullback in U.S. tourism, and prime destinations like Disney World and the wider Central Florida economy are feeling the effects. Orlando has already seen a huge drop-off among Canadian tourists alone. If the theme park attendance continues to suffer, it could sign a wider effect on the economy, and that the economy at large is on shaky ground. Since people are holding back on spending, still, Florida remains optimistic that Universal's new theme park, Epic Universe, will attract visitors. Pressure is mounting, Henry, on Tesla ahead of this quarterly earnings report. Over the past quarter, the electric vehicle giant has seen declining sales, a weakened market share, and reports of production delays on new affordable vehicle models. Many investors are hoping for updates on Tesla's driver assistance and robo-taxi programs, as well as news regarding the future of Elon Musk as a controversial figure in his role with the government. Google is cracking down on remote work. Work from office at least 3 days per week or risk losing your job. That's the message coming from several units at Google as they told remote employees recently, according to a report in CNBC. The crackdown comes at a time when the tech giant and its competitors are increasing investments in artificial intelligence and looking for ways to offset the expense. A company spokesperson clarified the hybrid work mandate only applies to certain teams. Some affected employees are being offered voluntary exit packages. Pharma giants are bracing for tariffs. Merck and Bristol-Myers Squibb released their latest financial reports yesterday, with both pharma giants notching better than expected sales in the first quarter. Bristol-Myers Squibb, despite factoring in tariffs on U.S. products shipped to China, raised its profits and revenue expectations for the year. But Merck, which has a robust presence in China now, says it expects to spend nearly $200 million on tariff costs alone, and lowered its full-year profit guidance. Neither company's forecast accounts for planned levies that are coming on U.S. pharmaceutical companies. American Airlines, it's also pulling its outlook, followed in the footsteps of rivals like Southwest and Delta, withholding its full-year outlook as the economy is tilting towards volatility, including a softening demand for domestic travel. American reported a deeper first quarter loss of $473 million compared to a $312 million loss in the same period last year. On the upside, American CEO Robert Isom said the carrier was buoyed by stronger demand for international travel. Henry and I are laughing because people want to get the hell out of here. And premium and loyal revenue, echoing the likes of Delta and United. And March home sales were the slowest since 2009. Sales of previously owned homes fell 5.9% from February to March, thanks to elevated interest rates and anxiety about the economy, according to CNBC. Year over year, those sales were down 2.4%. Numbers dropped across the U.S., but the West, where home prices are highest, suffered the hardest. Existing home sales there dropped more than 9% month over month. New home sales, meanwhile, spiked in March, rising 7.4% and beating expectations, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. So there you go. Guys, a little bit of Choose Views news on this Friday, April 25th, 2025. There you go. So if you're hanging out in Chicago this weekend, you know it's Friday. And Richard Chu from Choose Views, that would be me, the dude in the mirror, has a few things for you to do. If you're looking for ways to get out and enjoy the weather here in Chicago, or if you're coming to Chicago, haven't been here before, or you've been here before and you're just ready to do some other stuff, here you go. Expo Chicago's Contemporary Art Fair will return. Started yesterday, actually, at Navy Pier's Festival Hall, 600 East Grand. That's always a fun thing to do. Over 170 providers and presenters will be there. Art on the Mart. That's taking place at none other than the Merchandise Mart, 222 Merchandise Mart Plaza here in Chicago, right at the river. Art on the Mart is one of the world's largest digital art platforms. It transforms an architectural landmark into permanent, larger scale art displays. So make your way over there. Chicago Renaissance Showcase. What's that all about? The ARC Music Festival and Expo Chicago Art Week. It's going to be an after party. Lots of things happening. 1801 West Carroll Avenue here in Chicago, the Industrial Warehouse. That's taking place tomorrow, Saturday the 26th. One of a Kind show showcases over 350 creators and connects them with thousands of shoppers who appreciate original handcrafted work. And that's going to be taking place today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Also at the Merchandise Mart, 222 Merchandise Mart Plaza on the 7th floor. Excuse me, guys. Doc 10 Film Festival. That's another thing for those who like to catch a little bit of art, visual art, performance art. It's taking place up at the Davis Theater, 4614 North Lincoln Avenue here in Chicago. You cinephiles can go and enjoy thousands of displays and all sorts of documentary films, etc. Explore the Lyric is taking place tomorrow, April 26th, at the Lyric Opera of Chicago, and that's at 20 North Wacker. And we talked about this last week. If you're looking for something to do, also the Chicago Greeter Insta Greeter Walks of the Loop. That's this weekend. Going to be downtown. Meet at the Chicago Cultural Center. Welcome desk at on the Randolph side entrance. Chicago's independent book store Day Crawl is taking place tomorrow. Yet again, Chicago proves to be the dream destination for book lovers and readers of all ages. More than 50 independent bookstores will be participating. 714 South Dearborn, that's here in Chicago. Books and Banners, also the Jane Hull Museum, 800 South Halsted. And if you want to get out, check out some baseball. The Cubs are playing the Phillies today at Wrigley Field. So there you go. Bunches of stuff for our folks to do. If you're visiting, if you're here, if you're coming in from the suburbs, there you go. Lots of stuff to do here in Chicago. Wow, Henry, what a week. Everything from Pope Francis passing away to this huge conversation and controversy around the deportation of Mr. Garcia, what's happening with our economy, what's happening with our markets, what's happening with the conversation around the reduction in tourism, projected that we could lose some $900 billion this year because of the tariffs. And, that craziness. And also, just as we talked about yesterday, we've got two major congressional seats that are going to change. Senator Dick Durbin has decided he's not going to run again. And House Representative Jan Schakowsky has decided she's not going to run again. So lots of shifts that are taking place right now, which means that if we want to have impact, we've got to stay plugged in to what's happening. We have to make sure that we're not falling asleep at the wheel and not yielding territory, not yielding space. That's, I think, critically important that we all stay locked into that. It's tough. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. Believe me, I do. When I'm preparing for the show, and Henry and Devin know this, I'm always looking at it from the perspective of what can we bring. We have to bring truth and updates and realities so that we're not burying our heads in the sand at the same time. I want to bring as much upbeat, forward-thinking, how can we get things done to what we do with our show, all of our shows. I try to do that. Joan does, Patty does. So Yeah, Edwin, the weekend folks, we all try to make sure we're bringing you what's current, what's real, what's truthful at the same time in a way that says we're going to be okay. We just have to stay in the fight. We aren't going to be okay if we decide to go bury our heads in the sand. I can promise you that. Another local thing that I wanted to mention, and I don't know how we view this, but we recognize it as part of something that did take place. You guys probably heard that the Highland Park parade shooter from a couple of years ago was sentenced to life in prison without parole. And the only reason I identify that is because it's a big issue in terms of guns and gun safety and all the rest and shootings that take place. And but he did get life in prison without parole. So to the families that were impacted directly and those of us that were indirectly impacted here in the region, but throughout the country in general, I think that the sentence was meted out properly according to what the judge could do. So there we go. Let's grab a quick call, Henry. Let's go to our good friend. It looks like that's our good friend Pam, I think. Pam, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. How are you? And hello to everyone listening.
There you go.
And to your team as well. You always acknowledge your team, and I appreciate them.
Yes, we do.
Richard, the question you asked, a very basic question, what about the Democratic Party? What should they focus on? First and foremost, I think now that you've asked that, I'm concerned about the Democratic strategists that the Democratic Party depends on. Because I don't know what kind of information they're offering and filtering. So first and foremost, Richard, I'm on this. You need to concentrate on voter suppression. Richard, I believe Mr. Greg Palmer.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that at least the Democratic leadership and maybe its top strategists should meet with him and look at his evidence. Because, Richard, my basic question, if they're suppressing your voters, if 3.56 million voters were purged, suppressed in some form or fashion, it seems to me that is worthy of taking a look at. That's one part. That's important. Because, your voters came out and couldn't cast their vote. So that's important. At least meet with the man. Because the other side, they started an insurrection based on a stop the steal lie. Yeah. So for me, I don't see the Democratic Party even fighting for those who wanted to vote but couldn't. And then you must look at the provisional ballot system. That's got to be analyzed by the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. But let's move on to messaging. I'm hearing from some strategists that the messaging was off. Here's what I'm asking Democratic elected officials and the party to do and its messaging system. Richard, please answer for me. What part of the message didn't get through? Because I keep saying it, those Democratic voters that voted for the administration, it couldn't have been about the wars. It couldn't have been about the eggs. It couldn't have been about the cost of any goods. So what was it about, Richard? Mm-hmm. You have to analyze it and get at the truth before you can present something to, the message. There were certain people that heard both messages from Trump, and I call him the adjudicated sexual abuser because that's what he is, and it's despicable. And I heard the message from Harris. Harris wasn't perfect, but she was decent, and I heard her message. I heard her tell us tariffs are going to increase by 4,000, and I think that was a low estimate on her part. Mm-hmm. Tariffs are taxes. She was telling the truth, and that message didn't come across. So what messaging are they looking for, Richard? I'm asking you. Because they told us it was about those things, and it really wasn't.
Well, so, in reverse order, not in reverse order,
sure.
working back where you started, because we're gonna come up on a break, Pam.
Sure.
And we'll have the break and have you come back after that. But I'll just very quickly on voter suppression. I agree with you. There's absolutely everything positive about sitting down the Democratic voices, leadership, and all the rest, and the thinking tanks, if you will, that are strategists, sitting down with Greg Palast and saying, what do you know, what do you have, what's verifiable, and then let's figure out, starting now, not 6 months from the midterms, what we're going to do to impact that. I agree with that. I'll simply say that and keep it plain. I think if it's more data and more information, then why would you not want to meet with someone that has that more data and that more information? So you got me on that one. I think that's a smart move. If they pick up a couple of nuggets that help, then and that brings back X number of voters, or gets more that number of voters. Shouldn't say brings back, but that gets more voters through the system that Republicans candidly have gained in terms of voter suppression in many states, then it's a good idea. I think it's a smart thing to do. Pam, let's go to a break. We'll hold you over through the break because I want to answer your other question when we come back. Let's take a quick break, Henry. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-445-6363. That's 1-800-445-6363. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-445-6363. That's 1-800-445-6363.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
You are listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for today with cloudy skies, a high in the mid-60s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Then for tonight, a slight chance for rain showers early on, cloudy, a low near 42. By Saturday, skies will become mostly sunny, high 53 degrees. Sunday, plenty of blue skies and sun. We'll see a high around 66. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 48.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. So we have with us our good friend Pam from the west side of Chicago. Hey, Pam, thanks for holding. Let's take a couple minutes so I can kind of delve into your other questions. But the one thing I do want to say real quickly, someone sent me this, and I'll give everybody the edited version. I want to know from Greg Palast, what are all the methods the right use to knock people off the voting rolls? How can we use those methods to knock maggots off the rolls? Fight fire with fire. Now, I'm not advocating that, but I do think, let's just be honest, there's probably some people, if the rules are X, Y, and Z on the right that voted that probably shouldn't have been allowed to vote, but because they voted in red states, they probably got through, and there's people who got kicked off the voter rolls that should be on. That's probably a fair statement. So actually what can be taken from what this person texts me is that conversation that Greg Palast could have with Democratic leaders in voting Democratic election specialists to say, okay, what is it that is happening with voter suppression? I think you're right in that, and I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. The next couple of times that I have a member from Congress on the show, I'll be prepared to ask that question. I promise you that.
And Richard, let me ask, even if you don't want to have him as a guest, Richard, you have a conversation with him, because one of the things he pointed out was that they're perfecting the system. So as we talk about upcoming elections, 2026 and 2028, they are still perfecting the system of voter suppression. It has not stopped. Right. And lastly, Richard, let me offer this, and I'll hang up, and we can continue with that, but that's important. Let's talk about how do people hear and receive a message? Because for some reason, the message that Harris gave and delivered, people didn't want to receive it. Now, was it because she was a woman or because she was black? And the reason I'm asking, because we knew that in this election that the president was going to have a substantial amount of power because of what the Supreme Court did. And so you had to decide which person you wanted to have that power of immunity. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, you see how important that is. And for some reason, they chose the other side.
Well, let me dive into that.
And I'll hang up, Richard. I don't want to, but I'm just thinking, how are they receiving whatever message the Democratic put out? Well, and Rahm Emanuel is a no. Rahm Emanuel offering anything is going to be a no.
Yeah.
So the Democratic leadership needs to understand that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And I'll hang up.
Pam, one thing I wanted. You're welcome, Pam.
Oh, sure.
No. Just one thing I wanted to remind you. We have had Greg on a couple times, and I think it's probably time to have him back on. I appreciate your recommendation, and I'll take that advice. I promise you I will. Okay.
Okay, please, and just have a detailed conversation, maybe that you can't have on air, because I know he doesn't want to continue the voter suppression, but he really wants to do some things about it.
Yeah, I got you, Pam.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Thanks.
All right. Bye now. So one of the things that Pam asked, and we've all been talking about this, is, and this is a conversation, going back to a conversation I had with one of my brothers-in-law the other night. What the hell what were they thinking? Well, we know this is Richard's four legs of the stool: racism, sexism, privilege, and Christian nationalism. They leaned hard on those things. You could build an organizational chart beneath each of those four categories. At the end of the day, it wasn't about the people talked about this. We've said it. We're going to say it again. Just prepare yourselves. It wasn't about the price of eggs. It wasn't about the economy. If it were, then just people who are listening to this that are on our left side or on our right side or in the middle of the conversation, you couldn't have been paying attention. You really couldn't have been paying attention to say it was about the economy or economic matters when things were matter-of-factly, verifiably better for the majority of the country. For all the country, no, I would be stupid and irresponsible to say that everybody their ship had risen in the 4 years of Joe Biden. That's why he kept saying, let us finish the job. Okay? He kept saying, let us finish the job for a reason, because he knew there was still a lot to get done. And don't break what we've done because you want to see something so radically different. Vice President Harris warned the world, and I know there's going to be people out there that are going to be the trolls and all the other naysayers. She warned the world that Donald Trump would do exactly what Pam just said. There was no lack of clarity in how she said it and the number of times she said it. So the question that Pam poses is right on. What did you actually vote for? What did you bend yourself into pretzels to vote for when it was obvious that he's failed? Who bankrupt 6 times? 6. Who crashes a casino? I mean, seriously. So what did you vote for or not vote for? In this case, you didn't vote for sanity. You didn't vote for sort of go back to the conversation around travel. I got a text that said, Richard, really the reason people aren't looking to come to this country is because of Trump. And I had a report, and I left it on my desk at home, that talked about that very thing, that the numbers are down with travel specifically, and since it didn't start since the inauguration. It started after the election. People traveling to the United States from outside of the country, and not just Canada and Mexico, from Europe and other places, went down. And that can be tracked back to shortly the week following the election, like 7 or 8 days after the election. That's because of Trump. So people who said and bent themselves into pretzels to vote a certain way because they were, I'm not even, Henry, listen. This is probably going to pinch some people on the backside. I'm not even willing any longer to give people the space that they were bamboozled, that they were fooled. I'm not even willing to do. I had gone there a little bit, but I'm not even willing to say that anymore. And one of the things that really was a highlight to me, like when I was talking with my brother-in-law the other night, and he said a couple things that made me think, no, people really, and they knew what they were doing. If they didn't know what they were doing, then that's a big part of the problem, because all the information was in front of them. And so I think part of the reason that a lot of people now have gone in the space of F around and find out is because people had access to the information. It was right in front of them, and they made a decision to still bend themselves into that pretzel. And I don't agree with a lot of people who said, and some of these people are strategists, some of these people are from a full continuum of where they are in this process, that has said, well, we can't call people stupid. We can't we can't get upset with them because of the way in which they voted. They were feeling the pain of the economy, all this stuff. And some of the top strategists have been saying things like that. I'm like, are you crazy? I mean, seriously, if you're a strategist and you're saying that those people didn't have access to information to make a good decision, then there's a major chasm there, because they had access to the information. And to say that the messaging was off, to go back to what Pam was saying, tell me what was wrong about it, what was off about it. And here's the part that's just mind-boggling, because she said that this would happen. Even Biden said this would happen before he stepped out of the race. This will be the outcome. So how could were you so locked in and so desiring of pretzel bending that you said, nah, y'all are wrong. I'm right. I mean, it really does kind of come down to that, because here is where we are right now. Folks in Florida that depend on the peripheral dollars of people that are tourists and that travel to Florida are going to feel the pain of this. But y'all knuckleheads voted for this fool en masse. But y'all about to feel the pain down in Florida, because two of your big draws that affect the entire state, not just Orlando area, is Disney. That's one of them. Y'all about to feel that pain. So the guys and the gals that work in different businesses that are part of Disney or peripheral to that are going to feel the impact. But you said that Kamala Harris was all these different nasty things, and you voted for the dude that's now dropping the hammer on you, directly and indirectly. So I'm with Pam in that space. You had it in front of you. You had the information. It was readily available. And frankly, a number of the southern states are going to be ones to suffer the first and the most, because people from the north, let's just be honest, travel to the south in many cases to get away from this cold weather. That's going to change. People are going to say, you know what? I'll just put on another sweater. I'm not going there. Maybe I don't want to spend the money. Maybe it's not prudent from a safety. All those things are going to be in people's minds. I'm not saying folks are not going to do it. That everybody's not going to go. We all are going to do what we have to do. But I'm saying that the people who are in states that are going to most, and regions of the country that are going to be most impacted by this, based on what we've historically done as a country, are going to be ones that are the ones, I should say, to Pam's point, that you got to ask the question, what did you really vote for? Did you vote for a reduction in tourist dollars to your community? I don't think so. So it goes back to the four legs: racism, sexism, Christian nationalism, and privilege. And you can build an organizational chart out of each of those categories. Because if it were about the economy and having people in place that understood and understand how to run an organization, to run a business effectively, it sure as hell isn't Donald Trump. It wasn't, and it isn't. And, I know that there are people that are much smarter than me when it comes to the economy, the markets, and economic matters. But I can hold my own. And I don't apologize for what I don't know. I work to find out what it is and try to know it. But it's common sense to me that this dude who's wrecked businesses and didn't do well in the first term, took the advantage of the Obama economy, wrecked that. I mean, just like I keep coming back. Thank you, Pam. What the hell were you really voting for? What did you see? So the Democratic, the question I put out there was a question about what to do. The Democratic Party has got to. They've got to drill down on, yes, what's happening with voter suppression. There's no question about that. The Democratic Party also has to drill down on being hardcore, unapologetic about Trump is a failure. That's why we played those clips yesterday. Trump is a failure in all areas that matter to the majority of the country. To his billionaire friends, he's a success. To the folks he said he was going to be appealing to, he's been a failure. There's just no question about that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got a series of clips we're going to go through that speak to Trump's awfulness, his failures, and just how bad he is. We're going to keep nailing. I'm going to keep nailing these things down every day, how bad he is. 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose View with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. Voter suppression was real. It's not a fake thing. It's a real thing. So we've got to deal with it. The Democratic Party, the leadership has got to deal with it. And I heard the message, Pam. I will take course to have Greg back on and talk with him more about that and how the Dems can utilize his knowledge and information. So I will say that they are, with this, the reigniting Howard Dean's conversation from years ago about a 50-state strategy. And that starts with putting money into races all over the country rather than, and I've said this for a long time, we focus so much on the swing states that's gotten us back into focusing too much on the Electoral College by itself, where swing states should not have that kind of power during an election. They do. We know that they do. But this is one of the faults of the Electoral College system, and we need to get rid of it. It's going to take an act of Congress. It's going to take a constitutional change. It will require that we have more House and Senate seats. That's the top line, what has to happen. So we've got to win back the House first and the Senate, and then work toward that change. But that being said, Ken Martin is taking steps right now that is going to provide more money to state elections and has put together a pretty massive organizing effort to increase the 50-state sort of strategy. And there's a great article that was written in Politicus USA by our good friend Sarah Jones that you guys should check out. I'll try to, if you want to get that from me, I will post it because I don't want to go through the entire article. But at the end of the day, it's working on strengthening candidates in red states as well as blue states and grabbing some of the districts that are red districts in blue states to get those seats as well. So they're putting some significant amount of money behind it, and announced it's a historic organize everywhere, win everywhere strategy. A 4-year agreement to deliver more resources into Democratic state and territory parties than ever before. is a commitment under the new state partnership program agreement. Each state party will receive a baseline of $17,500 per month. And so they're leaning into this, and that's good. I do agree with Pam and others that we have to take a different approach, a more enlightened approach on voter suppression. But let me get to a couple of clips that Henry and I put together as it speaks to Trump's awfulness and Republicans' awfulness right now. Let's start with the clip from Senator Whitehouse.
Well, at the moment, what we're just looking at is economic disasters piling up. You've got consumer confidence down 30%. You've got inflation projections at their highest in 40 years. You got the Dow having its worst April since the depths of the Depression in 1932. The dollar's down 10%. They're adding $52 trillion to the debt to pay for billionaire tax cuts, and nobody knows where the next tariff is coming from. And as people have said, tariff uncertainty is its own tariff, setting aside how bad the tariffs are. So what we are seeing is an epic economic botch job, unprecedented in American history.
One of the things that's so odd to me here is the unilateral nature of it. The president says, I put this on, I put that on, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. Now, he's deriving this authority from a national emergency he's declared pursuant to a piece of legislation, I believe in the 1970s, designed for the president to basically put emergency sanctions on foreign bad actors, not to manage the entire trade portfolio of the nation. But I wonder, as a U.S. Senator, I can't believe the Congress is just sitting by and letting him hijack this power to such destructive ends.
Yeah, well, you're seeing bipartisan legislation begin to emerge to pull that power back from him because he's using it so rashly and so ignorantly and so irresponsibly. And there's litigation beginning to move through the courts to challenge his authority to do it in the first place. But the problem is that in real time now, he is president of the United States. And when he says these rash and crazy things, it has a real effect in real people's lives, in real markets. And that's what's hard to catch up to. That's the danger. And sooner or later, 4 Republicans in the Senate or 4 Republicans in the House will have the courage to say enough, and then the madness ends.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, our majorities that the Republicans control in the Senate, it's 4 votes. And same over in the House. And if 4 or 8 or 12 of the Republicans got together and said, look, this has to stop. We're going to stop kowtowing to you. We're going to stop passing your bills. We're going to stop your reconciliation measure. We're not going to do what you're demanding that we do. We're not going to put your unqualified appointees through. We're simply not going to roll over for you until you stop the economic damage. It's within their hands to stop it right now.
The president has really backed himself into a corner, Lawrence. This whole thing has been so slapdash, so chaotic, so poorly conceived, without any clear objectives. And business investment is frozen. Consumer sentiment has been tanking. Investors in the United States and around the world are withdrawing investments not just from American stocks, but also from Treasury bills. And in fact, it's been very worrying action in Treasury markets that I think has really spooked the White House. The president's economic team is at war with itself and leaking against him and each other. And I think the only people who are happy about this are the congressional Republicans and the Mar-a-Lago club members, who I can imagine are doing pretty well on stock tips and getting advance notice. I would not be surprised about some of these announcements.
So 2 senators in reverse order. That was Senator Ossoff from Georgia and Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. In both cases, what they're speaking to is how Republicans have the ability and the opportunity to stem the tide. If not, then they should pay the price from their voters and their constituents. And the 4 and 4 that Senator Whitehouse talked about, they're out there. And I think to go back to something that Pam said earlier about strategy and what people voted for, this is an opportunity to take a lesson from right here in Illinois, Representative Lauren Underwood, who said we have to go after vulnerable Republicans in districts where their voters are visibly, verbally unhappy, PO'd in other words. And that's a soft spot. That's a soft spot that the Republicans have that Democrats should be leaning hard into. And why I wanted, again, going back to what I said earlier about what Ken Martin is doing, that's why that strategy is important. Going after Republicans that are in those districts that Representative Underwood speaks about is a strategy that can be won, or strategy that can be implemented to get the wins that we need. They can't sleep on that because it's there. It's proving itself. Now, I'm not hopeful. So when I say this, I don't say it from the position of being hopeful. I say it from the position of just be ruthless about it. Just be. I mean, I'm drawing a blank. Chris Murphy and the young congressman from Florida that are going down in North Carolina, they're spending time in North Carolina right now. Maxwell Frost. They're doing that, and we can't. I think our opportunity is to continue to reinforce that effort and to continue to tell them, keep going to those districts. Don't stop. Don't pull back. Don't give them any room to breathe. When they wake up in the morning, they should be thinking, damn, is there a Democrat in my district this week? Almost to the point where Democratic elected officials in this 50-state strategy and revitalization of that conversation, I believe should be looking at this and saying, someone from my office will handle things in my district when we're not in session. Because I'm going to a neighboring red district and I'm going to spend my time there. That's how I look at it. Park themselves in a neighboring red district and make sure that Republican in that district, when they wake up, asking themselves, who in the hell from the Democratic Party is in my district holding a town hall? It should be that ruthless. It should be, we're in Chicago. It should be gangster-like. Don't give them any room to breathe. Don't give them any comfort. We are coming to your districts. That's, I'm hoping, is what Ken Martin's trying to do, implementing a version of that. And those 4 and 4 that Senator Whitehouse talked about and the slapdashness of the administration, people will start to recognize, well, damn, the Dems are showing up in our district on a regular basis, not just happenstance, full-blown strategy. Tell your folks in your district, I'm not avoiding you. I'm not coming to talk to you. I'm going to other districts that are red districts because we need to go in and steal their candy. I don't know. Maybe it's the. I mean, if I had the ear of the leaders of the Democratic Party, I'd be telling them that's the message that you should let your constituents know. I'm not forsaking you. I'm not forgetting about you. We have to win this fight. And to win this fight, here's how I'm playing different. For the next 16 months, I'm playing this way. You guys know I got your back. But we're going to go steal their candy. Meanwhile, y'all block and make sure that they don't steal ours. But we're going to go steal some of theirs. I think it's a winning strategy. Why not? It's kind of like during a timeout, during a basketball game, running over to the other team. They're huddling. Hey, what are they talking about? All right, guys. Top of the hour, 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
The month you were born has an impact on how likely you are to develop certain diseases later in life, according to research from Columbia University. Dr. Nicholas Tadanetti said they combed through 1,688 different diseases and found 55 that had a correlation with birth month, including ADHD, reproductive performance, asthma, eyesight, and ear infections.
Of those 55, we actually grouped them into several different categories. And one of the most striking that we found were that cardiovascular diseases are more likely for those who are born in the late winter and early spring. And that's actually a novel finding that hadn't been studied before we published these results.
Dr. Tatanetti said these findings are probably related to the environment that a baby is born into, including seasonal variations in vitamin D and allergens. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Steel, walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports Venezuelans subject to removal under an 18th century wartime law are being given just hours to decide whether to fight it.
Newly unsealed court documents show migrants subject to deportation under the Alien Enemies Act are being given about 12 hours to decide if they want to contest their removal. An Immigration and Customs Enforcement official says the migrants are served with a form about their legal rights, but it's only available in English. Though ICE says it is read to people in a language they understand. The document says they can make a phone call, but doesn't explicitly say they can challenge their removal. They then have 24 hours to file documents in court. The government contends the window complies with a Supreme Court decision that migrants subject to removal be given reasonable time to argue against it before a judge. The Trump administration sent Venezuelans accused of belonging to the gang Tren de Aragua to a prison in El Salvador known as CICOT. I'm Ben Thomas.
Another Russian drone attack on Friday struck an apartment building in Pavlograd in southeastern Ukraine, killing 3 and injuring 10. A child and a 76-year-old woman were among those dead. Russian forces fired over 100 drones at 5 Ukrainian regions overnight, according to Ukraine's Air Force. The attack comes a day after Russia's deadliest assault on the capital since July killed at least 12 and injured more than 80. Indian officials say the army had a brief exchange of fire with Pakistani soldiers along their highly militarized frontier in the Himalayan region of Kashmir. No casualties were reported. Pakistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs declined to comment on the report. Both countries have cut diplomatic ties with each other after Tuesday's deadly attack on tourists in Pahalgam in Indian-controlled Kashmir. India has described the massacre as a terror attack and accused Pakistan of backing it. Pakistan denies this. This is AP News. AP correspondent Karen Shamas reports on the final day that Pope Francis lies in state ahead of his funeral on Saturday.
The Vatican said more than 90,000 people had paid their respects by Thursday evening. Father Przemek Tomczyk, a priest from Poland and from the Archdiocese of Chicago, told the AP,
I think it's so important to be here to pay for the repose of the soul of Pope Francis because he has been such an influential Pope. And the one who also taught me as a priest how to be a shepherd to people of God.
Heads of state and royalty will start converging on Rome on Friday for the funeral of Pope Francis in Vatican's St. Peter's Square. President Donald Trump and Argentine President Javier Milei are among the leaders arriving on Friday, the last day the Argentine Pope will lie in state in St. Peter's Basilica. Francis's coffin will then be sealed in the evening in preparation for his funeral on Saturday. I'm Karen Shamas.
I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for today with cloudy skies, a high in the mid-60s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Then for tonight, a slight chance for rain showers early on, cloudy, a low near 42. By Saturday, skies will become mostly sunny, high 53 degrees. Sunday, plenty of blue skies and sun. We'll see high around 66. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 48.
If you've turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-365-6303. 800-365-6303. 800-365-6303. That's 800-365-6303.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Chew's Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820 AM, where facts matter. Take it away, Richard.
Hey, progressives. Welcome back to Chew's Views, 773-763-9278. Thanks for being with us first hour. It's Friday, the 25th of April. Golly, I shouldn't say I cannot believe it. Days go by, time goes by, which means that we can't waste time. We have to be effective with it in this moment. We speak about time going by and things happening over the years, as you guys know, tickets are sold out for our May 3rd anniversary broadcast at Max and Benny's restaurant in Northbrook. That's next Saturday already. But we hope you'll tune in that day between 11 and 3 to hear Hal Sparks, Patty Vasquez, Scott Duff, Joan Esposito, and myself broadcast live with our guest. This event is sponsored by Max and Benny's, Fazio Insurance, Smart 265, the Democratic Party of Kane County, and Southland Friends of Labor, as well as the Democratic Party of McHenry County and McHenry County Democratic Women. Be sure to visit our anniversary page where you can find the details about the special broadcast. Photos, video, and sound galleries of the 20-year history and documenting that. The address is heartlandsignal.com/anniversary. Make your way over there. Okay, talking about things that are happening that WCPT's got their hand in. You know, this thing happens, and the White House Correspondents' Dinner fires comedians. It's just absolutely crazy. But it's time we take back the mic and brutally mock them in the process. Join Political Voices Network for Not the White House Correspondents' Dinner pay-per-view special Saturday, April 26th at 8 p.m. That would be tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central. The star-studded lineup features Elaine Boozler, John Fugelsang, Stephanie Miller, JoJo from Durs, Brooklyn Dad, Defiant, Frangela, WCPT's own, Hal Sparks, and many others. You can watch it live or stream on demand for just $20.26. That's because 2026 is a good number to think about. Head over to meethook.live/not. Again, meethook.live/not to buy your pay-per-view passes, or you can call in now at 773-763-9278, and you might win a free stream code. We'll take the third caller, number 3, 773-763-9278. Contests running on WCPT 820 are open to listeners 18 or older, residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. 1 entry per person, 1 winner per household. Void where prohibited by law, and listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our website at WCPT820.com by clicking the contest tab. So there you go. Lots of stuff to do, places to be, and people to hang out with. Make sure you are staying tuned in, as always, to our WCPT Progressive lineup. That includes the Stephanie Miller Show, my radio sister on the West Coast, the Tom Hartman Show, Professor of Everything Progressive, Joan Esposito, Live Local Progressive, and none other than Patty Vasquez driving you home in her hoopty. Make sure you guys are paying attention. All right. Well, speaking of folks that we know, that we hang out with every now and again, and love our caller, Pam, welcome to the show, our good friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics podcast. Good morning, Karen. Welcome to the show. She's in studio, by the way.
Good morning, and thanks for having me in again. You keep unlocking the door for me.
Well, you know, I'm good with that. I lock some people out. You know, I tell people, nope, you can't come in until you get your head right.
Okay.
When you get your head right, then you can come in.
Oh, is that a requirement?
Yeah, but see, the definition of getting your head right is defined by me.
Oh, okay.
So You could be crazy as hell. That on a given day, for me, that might mean you got your head right.
Well, that as well as being in the gutter is my baseline, is being a little bit crazy.
Yeah, well, we have to have a little bit of crazy in us right now.
Oh my God!
To help balance us out from the. I mean, using the phrase or the thought, fighting fire with fire.
Mm-hmm.
We got to have a little bit of crazy in us right now to fight the crazy.
No, we have to. We have to laugh, because it's not even 100 days, Richard.
I know. I
mean,
I know.
It's just, you say time flies. It has not flown. This has been just agony.
Yeah.
And I mean, but
that's to wear us down. We know that.
Absolutely.
That's the goal of chaos and the goal of the is it the Gish Gosh or whatever the hell.
Gish Gallop, yeah.
Gish Gallop.
Mm-hmm.
It's to wear folks down.
And the gaslighting,
and just to keep throwing garbage at you, to keep throwing it at you from all different angles to get you to back away, to bury your head in the sand, to say it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I'll go do something else.
Yeah. And to force us to have a sense of hopelessness. And it truly is, I've heard several people say this week, it's, joy and hope are a form of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a great clip, I think I sent it to you, but this young man, and he goes, he's not going to be here forever, and that should make you happy.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And
it's true. And I mean, I resent the place that these people have brought us to, but they have underestimated us or overestimated
themselves. They've overestimated themselves.
Yeah, I think that they overestimate the idea that our kindness is always going to take a precedent and our decency when we're under threat.
Mm-hmm.
And us kind of ceding some space and giving some grace to them when they're doing everything in their power to hurt us.
Right.
And so those days are over. So if there are conservatives out there and Trump voters in my life that think that they're going to get just an easy access to me and my good graces, not happening anymore. See, it's just not happening.
And that's you're taking the baton of what I say about getting their head right.
That's right.
If they don't have their head right.
You don't have, and this is the thing too. It's like I hear people saying like, well, they made a mistake, so we have to, and they're realizing they made a mistake, so now we have to. It's like, no, this is the thing. You knew who I was. Okay, I gave you access to me for years and years and years, and we had conversations, and while we didn't agree with things, we were able to keep it kind of at a certain level. But who he is. We saw 4 years of that.
Mm-hmm.
What he was doing the entire time President Biden was in office.
Yep.
And the horrible things that he has said about so many people that we respect and value.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you went ahead and you voted for him anyway, knowing that it would hurt me and mine.
Right.
So now you want to say you're sorry and you want to be able to come back into my fold. Well, it's not about how I'm going to navigate that space. That's how you're going to navigate that space. And the onus is on you. You're the one that has to figure out how you're going to come back into my family.
My brother-in-law, when we were talking the other night, said this to me, a version of what you just said. He said, how do I deal, what do I say? How do I deal with these people? And, and I said, listen, man, and I'll keep the expletives out. But one of them starts with the letter F.
Mm.
Them.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't want to, after all the information that was presented to them, if they need you to still hold their hand after they told you before, let me get you, we were saying to them, here's my hand. I'm trying to tell you that those waters out there are really, really bad. Mm-hmm. I can see it. It's bad. No, dude, I got this. I'm good. I'm going to take my little dinghy out there because I'm good. And now they want you to help them back onto shore.
Mm-hmm.
The mistake that we can make, and this is a touchy area. The mistake that we can't make as Democrats, the progressive liberal Democrat message can't be, we're going to reach to them first.
Right.
It doesn't mean we can't reach to them,
mm-hmm.
but we can't reach to them first and reach past the people who were listening that maybe didn't participate. I think that the part of the winning national message that Ken Martin wants to implement has to include what Bakari Sellers said about this time last year when he was here in Chicago. He said it's Trump, at the time Biden, or the couch.
Right.
And the couch really did win when
sure
36% of people didn't show up. I'm not going to buy in because some of those people, some of those 36% that didn't show up are also people that we said this is what's going to happen. And they are many of which who said, she's not kissing me just quite the right way. She's not showing up at my front door quite the right way. And they stayed at home. Those people now also are part of the F around and find out crowd that need to be reminded that you didn't listen to. The ones that voted to harm us that you just described, they are second in terms of who we go after. I think we have to go after the people that didn't listen, that didn't participate, that are going, I wish I hadn't done that. I think they're an easier get.
Absolutely.
At least I hope I'm right about that.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I'm not going to actively go and get anybody who voted for him. It's like, you're going to have to come to me.
Like I said to my brother-in-law, don't go. Forget them.
It's a no.
That you told me I was stinky. You're stinky now.
Right.
So I don't want you around.
I mean, that's what your own research. Yeah, that's what your own research did. I mean,
why do you need me now to come help you? Because you go take a shower.
Yeah.
Then you can come join the party.
Absolutely.
But until you take that shower and get your head right, we don't want you. We need other folks.
I see
who
you.
At least took a shower. They just didn't know what the hell to do after the fact they took the shower.
You showed your A**.
Yeah. And so there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, guys, we talk about this a lot in terms of how do we go forward. And I am strongly in the camp of we still have to reach out to pull as many people in. I'm not going to buy into anybody saying to me that the Dems message sucked.
No.
Even a strategist. The Dems message did not suck. It did not stink. Pam asked the question, what happened with the message? What were people listening to or buying into or hearing? And I think they were predisposed to something that they, I don't know how to say this without sounding like I'm being a jerk. They were predisposed to a message that they didn't, they were lazy.
I hear dog whistles.
Yeah, that too.
I hear that.
They were predisposed to their own bias.
Yeah,
and their own bias became actually more. It's what I said earlier. I don't know why I'm tippy-toeing around it. They didn't want to get out of their own box, and so they head faked and pretzeled themselves into it's about the cost of eggs, it's about the price of gas, and all the Mexicans are coming across the border to steal everything that I have and rape my family. It was really about that.
Yeah,
because how in the
it's
hell
zero sum. It's a zero sum. Yeah. I always think about that book.
Eric talks about that too.
Yeah, it is zero sum, and it's a racial hierarchy. And these people think that as long as they can hurt people that they view as less than,
then it becomes
it's okay.
They're shielded from it.
Even if it means that they get hurt a little bit too. But we're just going to get hurt a little bit, but they're going to get hurt a lot, and so that's okay. Then I'm okay with it.
Yeah, Eric Grant talks about that a lot. He is unrelenting when he's like, you know what, they think it's not going to get to them, but when it does, you know what, leave me alone.
It's going to get around to all of us. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that poem. First they went for, they came for,
and fill in the blanks, and
fill in the blanks, and it's like it's going to get to all of us. I mean, and so this is the thing too. It's like people using the excuse, well, I didn't think, that I was going to get hurt. And it's like, yeah, but you voted to hurt me.
Right. That's the part. I know you. So then what you're saying is you didn't think you were going to get hurt, but by voting this way, you thought, well, it'll be okay. For who? Me. But for me,
right,
your friend, your family member, your colleague, you made a conscious decision to hurt me.
Me. Right.
So how can I be with you? And this is Eric talks about this one also. He says, how do we live with those people?
Exactly.
Because they made a conscious decision to hurt me.
It's a no for me. I mean, and it's like, and I'm not going to give you the roadmap back, And
I think the Dems would be well served, the messaging part, the DNC would be well served to say, you made a decision. I don't know how this will sell with folks, but I'm going to say it anyhow, and then we got to try to get to a little bit of a break. I think there should be some messaging or some wording that says something along these lines. You may your vote, and this gets into this thing where Dems get accused of being sort of talking down to people. But I think that to fix this problem, we have to address the fact that you were wrong.
Mm-hmm. And we were providing with facts. You said that when you were talking to Pam. We're giving them facts.
Yeah.
If that's the messaging, they don't want to hear. They want to be lied to.
Yeah, I feel, Karen, that if we don't, and I know this is risky for some folks in this conversation, that if we don't address the fact that you were wrong,
right,
then we are at risk of people repeating that just to get rid of this problem now.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm saying that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to say it, and maybe
we have to have certain agreements.
You know what it is? We have to have some voter, consumer, American accountability.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of what I think. And maybe that's what I was working toward. There has to be some accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And that's maybe also in the conversation about people getting their heads right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
America's got to get their heads right around this.
There has to be a reckoning.
And if it's not, and it's not just the structure of the Democratic Party is all jacked up. I don't necessarily agree with that in its entirety. There are things that always need to be fixed. We always have to evaluate ourselves and work toward change.
Absolutely.
But I wonder what you think about this, and then we'll take a tiny break.
Okay.
Don't you think there has to be some sort of a reckoning? There has to be an accountability. You saw it. It was in front of you, and you chose to not do anything or to do something that was harmful.
Mm-hmm.
Address that, Democratic Party, as much as, we can tighten up our messaging. We can do certain things here. I think voters need to be called out on their BS.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We have, like I said, I mean, in order to move forward, we have to have certain, a reckoning and then certain agreements.
Agreed. All right, let's take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views. We'll be right back.
Advertisement sponsored by Allied Injury Group, not available in all states. This important message from Allied Injury Group reminds you that if you or someone you love was injured in an accident that wasn't your fault, you deserve financial compensation for your medical expenses, lost wages, pain, and suffering. Don't rely on insurance companies to look out for you. If you haven't spoken to an attorney, call our legal experts now. Work accident, truck accident, collision with an uninsured driver, or a slip and fall. Allied Injury Group has helped clients win hundreds of millions of dollars in damages. They're available 24/7 to take your call and fight for you. Remember, if you or someone you love suffered injuries in an accident that wasn't your fault, like being struck by a drunk driver, a collision with an 18-wheeler, were a victim of workplace negligence or more, get the financial compensation you deserve. Call Allied Injury Group for a free consultation now.
Call 800-818-2581. That's 800-818-2581. Again, 800-818-2581.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
It's Choose View with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Hey, progressives, welcome back to Choose View, 773-763-9278. I know you guys are loading me up with text messages, and I don't want to miss them. I see them, but I got to pay attention because we have a guest in the studio, our good friend Karen Byrne from TruBlu Politics podcast.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Karen and I taking on a little bit of Pee Wee Herman and Medea all in the same. All right, let's see if we can grab a couple quick calls. Let's go to Floyd. Floyd, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard and Karen.
Hey, Floyd.
Hey, guys, I am looking forward to the 3rd of May because I will be there at Max and Benny's, and I had some extra shirts printed up.
Oh,
my
good.
Shirt.
You go bring me some shirts, man?
Absolutely. I'm bringing shirts so Hal Splash can put one on and Joan can put, all you guys can wear them. Are you kidding?
That's perfect,
I'm
man.
a medium, Floyd.
Well, the small size I have is large, okay? I have extra large, and I have some orange ones in large. I'll make sure I save one for you, okay, Karen?
Okay.
That'll be great. That'll be great, Floyd. We're looking forward to seeing you. and your shirts. I'm excited about it, man. Thank you so much for your call this morning.
Hey, thanks. Have a great day now. Thank you very much for what you guys are doing. Thank you.
You got it, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Floyd. Floyd is a gem, guys. Let's go to Kurt in Akron, Ohio. Hey, Kurt, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Richard. Hey, Karen. Nice talking to both of you.
Absolutely.
Hey, sorry I've been missing your meditation Zoom calls, Karen, but life sucks.
Yeah.
Life sucks and you have to work, right?
I'm switching up the time, so, pick a time.
Yeah, I'll try. I get home after 5 o'clock every night, so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But anywho, just think of this, too. Had Kamala Harris, I sent you, Richard, Kamala Harris's resume versus Donald Trump's resume earlier this morning.
Okay.
And if you think about it, had Kamala Harris, like Hillary Clinton before her in 2016, would have been men, and I'm sorry, Karen, to sound misogynistic here, but, the truth is the truth here.
Mm-hmm.
If they were men, they would have been considered giants in their professions, and people probably would have paid better attention to them as far as the messaging goes, because it's coming out of a man's mouth. Because I'm wondering what happened to those 36% that decided to impersonate J.D. Vance on the couch on Election Day?
Kurt, I know that's an ooh, but no, Kurt, check this out for a second. Okay, to your point, I'm going to keep it simple. I've been paying very close attention, and you sent me some things, and I've followed different things about Pete Buttigieg and how his brand is incrementally, very slowly kind of inching up. And there are people that are now moving away from that we can't elect a gay man to the White House. And the crazy thing about it is people are saying, ain't that a B? We can't elect a woman that's two women that are actually more qualified than Pete. And Pete brings a bucket load of qualifications. No slam on him. But we're now having this conversation that says, well, maybe we can elect a gay man.
Mm-hmm.
Here's
the thing. Well, here's the thing. You just said that. Now everyone's thinking about Pete Buttigieg, the gay man. In 2020, if you remember, that was 4 or 5 down on the list of his resume of people's concerns when he was running.
Yep.
So what happened between 2020 and 2024, 2025, that all of a sudden, well, yeah, we know what happened. Transgender is horrible. It's an abomination on our society. Gay people are going to recruit your children. And speaking of gay people, the Republican Party has got to stop with their Roy Cohn BS. I mean, if you think about it, Roy Cohn on his deathbed was asked, how do you feel about Roy Cohn after he's dead is going to be remembered as a homosexual who died of AIDS? Roy Cohn, in the third person, mind you, said, Roy Cohn is not a homosexual. Roy Cohn is a heterosexual who likes to have sex with boys. So he switched the narrative to control the narrative before he died. So they need to get out of that Roy Cohn mentality and accept the fact that they screwed up. And, and I've told you this before, Richard, you can learn something from your failures. You don't have to ignore them. You don't have to look at them as something negative. You can learn something from your failures, and you come out the other end stronger.
I think politically right now that we have to remember our power is not relying and depending on Republicans to do a damn thing.
Mm-mm.
We have to.
And that's it right there. And the Democrats can't do everything too. I mean,
yeah, but the point I'm making on that is we have to acknowledge that if some Republicans come along, going back to what Senator Whitehouse said, there's 4 and 4 in the House and the Senate that need to get on board, like Representative Lauren Underwood has said, that are in vulnerable districts. And at the same time, we got to take the bull by the horns and say, doggone it, we're not going. We have to be the ones in charge. We have to be able to knock over the tables and have the solutions to back that up.
And we got to stop being nice. We got to stop being nice. We got to stop treating this like it's a teenage girl slumber party from 1955.
Or boys party.
Well, I was saying for 1955 and having a pillow fight.
Got it.
And we got to have a rumble like you did in 1955 where you have the knives or whatever. That's what you got to do. You got to come with equal weapons or chains or knuckles, whatever it is. And
we're getting violent over here.
I mean, I think I've been watching Rebel Without a Cause, for crying out loud. But we got to be more aggressive or assertive. We got to be more assertive with our messaging. And it doesn't help that the media the mainstream media, that isn't helping any, because they're looking at the numbers. They're looking at the dollar signs, like I've said before.
And they've got a bunch of milquetoast people that are part of their various programming. I mean, they're not willing to take on, because it's based on how they ask questions of people. So, hey, Kurt.
And now what am I hearing yesterday? That if you say something bad about Donald Trump on social media,
that Pam Bondi's going to come for you. Yeah, come on.
Oh, bring it. Bring it.
Come to Chicago,
Here I
Pam.
am. I'll give you my number, Pam.
Come to Chicago, Pam. Kurt, we got to hit this break, man, because we got a guest coming up in the 7:30 hour.
That's fine, and thank you.
Thanks, man, for calling in. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Can you imagine where we would be if all these Republican men just came out of the closet, too?
Well, some of them need to.
Yeah, they need to.
Just
come clean.
Just go on and let that flag fly.
Well, yeah. We won't hold it against you. Let's go.
Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Listen, guys. Oh, mercy. The Dems need to listen. All that Kurt said is spot on. More aggressive. Less give a damn. Less giving a damn about what others think about you.
Yeah.
Just say it.
And name names. I don't want to hear about these quote unquote closeted, Republicans behind closed doors talking about how they're so upset. Come out with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm at that point now, to that point, and we got to hit this break, where I want Dems to be willing to say, so we had a meeting, and we're not in normal times anymore. Here's what went down in the meeting. This is what pull a district and say, here's what your congressional leaders said behind closed doors about Donald Trump, just so you know.
Right.
Just out them. Do it real time, right out of a meeting. Here's what they said. So you know that they're lying to you.
Don't protect them.
Yeah.
Forget it. Those days are over.
All right, 773-763-9278. When we come back, we'll be talking about a local couple of issues with one of our great commissioners here in Chicago. 773-763-9278. This is Choose Views, and we'll be right back.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for today with cloudy skies, a high in the mid-60s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 15 miles per hour. Then for tonight, a slight chance for rain showers early on, cloudy, a low near 42. By Saturday, skies will become mostly sunny, high 53 degrees. Sunday, plenty of blue skies and sun. We'll see high around 66. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 50.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives. Welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Been a little spicy this morning, but hey, that's what we need, is to have that hot sauce and that cayenne pepper on our politics right now as progressive liberal Democrats. Our state officials, our state elected officials, our local officials I'm unapologetically in their corner, because this is our city, this is my city, this is our block, this is our community, to give a shout out to Jamal. But we have people who are getting stuff done and making sure that when there's something that needs to be, there needs to be a spotlight on it, they do it. And with us this morning is one of our very own commissioners here in the city of Chicago with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. I got it right the first time out. Welcome to the show, Commissioner Precious Brady-Davis.
Good morning, Richard. You got it perfect. Great to be with you. I love you bringing the heat this morning.
First time I got it out. I said it because listen, your department, it's a hard one to say. Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago.
That's what you can say, MWRD.
Yeah, but that sounds like I'm talking about a rap group or something, MWA. I don't want to get that wrong and have people go, what the hell is Chew talking about this morning? Commissioner,
you did a great job.
Thank you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Chew's Views. How are you doing this Friday morning?
I'm doing great this morning. The sun is shining. There's no rain today, so we're happy about that at the district, and I'm talking to you all this morning.
Fantastic. So you've got a lot happening at the district right now, and this is Earth Month, and then we just had, why am I drawing a blank? We just had
Earth Day.
Earth Day. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah.
Day before or Tuesday. So talk a little bit about what's happening with the district and the work that you're doing with regard to Earth Month.
Well, first of all, for folks who don't know, the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, we're the agency who treats wastewater. We also treat stormwater. 130 years ago, we reversed the course of the Chicago River. And right now, what we're really focusing on advancing green infrastructure across the county. Green infrastructure is a water mitigation strategy in terms of how do we hold that water. We're focused on how do we remove the water from folks' basements. Chicago has a combined sewer system. So when it rains, all of that water from folks' homes as well as from the storm, it's going into our sewers. And so we're trying to mitigate that so that we don't have overflow action alerts. We're basically looking at how do we mitigate climate change impacts at this time by addressing flooding risk.
So this has been, let me sort of package it this way. From the governor to the lieutenant governor to Cook County President Tony Preckwinkle and so many others have really, really leaned into, we've got to take, and Mayor Johnson talks about this also, how important it is that we take care of our region, our city, our region, our state, because of the access to fresh water that we have with the lake systems and the river systems around us. And you've really been a huge proponent of clean water and making sure that we have a resilient infrastructure. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Lake Michigan is part of the largest body of fresh water on Earth. And it's important that we take care of that. My whole life, I've cared about diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, and as someone who is elected countywide, I have seen the impacts of flooding across this county, whether it's on the west side of Chicago, the northwestern suburbs, the south suburbs. Folks are disproportionately impacted, and it's our job to be good stewards of the planet. It's our job to plan for environmental sustainability, especially in a time where we're seeing these rollbacks on the federal level. We are here holding the line.
Definitely. There's no question about that. You've got a unique history in the space of sort of your involvement with the Sierra Club. And one of our guests that's been on the show is the head of Ben Jealous. And I mean,
yes.
Yeah, I mean, and talk about somebody that understands this issue of our environment and really has leaned in and made a huge difference, particularly given what's coming out of the Trump administration right now. But you've got a history that goes back further than just the water reclamation, your election to that. Talk a little bit about that, if you will.
For nearly 10 years, I worked at the Sierra Club. I worked on campaigns championing renewable energy, holding corporate polluters accountable, advancing clean water infrastructure in Oklahoma, transforming renewable energy in Minnesota, across the Midwest, and also during the first Trump administration.
Yeah.
We took on Scott Pruitt.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, and we got him ousted. for his corruption. And then we went after Andrew Wheeler, right? Like actually holding the EPA accountable for environmental justice. And so we're back here right where we started. And so that's one of the reasons I'm at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. I truly care about preserving our planet, spaces and places for generations to come.
We have such a wonderful park system here in Chicago, specifically more broadly in the counties, Collar, and the state, that oftentimes people don't even know about till they come to Chicago. And it's not an accident that for 8 years that we've had, consecutive years, that Condé Nast magazine has said, y'all getting it right in Chicago. You've got beautiful waterways, you've got great parks, and the city is a beautiful, clean city. What are your thoughts about that, Commissioner?
Well, I could not agree more. The forest preserves, they are the largest landowner in Cook County. The Metropolitan Water Reclamation District is the second largest landowner in Cook County. A little known fact I don't think people know. And so I think, yes, we have the second largest, and the forest preserves is the largest. So I really encourage people to take advantage of our local parks and spaces and enjoy the recreation. That's one of the things I also love about the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. I love how we have really revitalized the landscape. Like when you look at the Little Calumet River, right? Like there are so many spaces that I encourage people to enjoy, and that's what we're preserving. We're preserving folks to enjoy Lake Michigan. You know, we're the agency who ensures it's safe that you swim in Lake Michigan during the summer, and I could not agree more. There is no greater city than the city of Chicago. I think our mayor says the greatest freaking city in the world.
That's right. I was going to let you have, but hope that you would pick up on that one because he's right about that. Listen, speaking of Mayor Johnson and President Preckwinkle and Governor Pritzker and Lieutenant Governor Stratton, we catch a lot of hell, as my father used to say, for all things Chicago and all things Illinois. And we know doggone well that our city, our counties, our state is not perfect. But I don't think the test or the measuring should be being perfect, but striving to be better. And I'd like to hear what you have to say about us as a city, as a region, as a state, striving to get better.
In this moment, I believe that we need to create diversity, equity, and inclusion for all people. And I have had the chance to work with each of those stakeholders. I have seen them up close and personal and behind closed doors. And I can testify to their fighting for working class people, to fighting for the great people of Chicago, and ensuring that our city remains a space that is welcoming for all people, a space where we preserve the environment. And I don't think we're seeing that on the federal level. And I think that Chicago, for years to come, under their leadership, will remain a beacon of inclusion for all people.
And I'm excited to hear you say that. I want to ask you a question. In terms of things that you're working on beyond what's happening with the Spotlight on Earth Month, what are some of the other things on your whiteboard or that are part of what you see we've got to be working on, that what NWRD has got to be focusing on in these months to come?
Yes, I think we'll continue to work on flood mitigation across the county. We'll continue to create green spaces. Our Space to Grow program is a program that we had that advances playgrounds with permeable pavement. You know, there aren't enough playgrounds for young people across Cook County to play in safe places. You know, violence prevention, right? No one is talking about how do we integrate the outdoors into violent prevention. There's lots of conversations around young people and spaces where they can hang out at. And so I want them to know that you can come hang out in the forest preserves. I want young people to know that there are skills in the trades, right? Not everyone is interested in going to a 4-year higher education program. So how do we create a pathway to the trades for young people? And so those are just a couple of the things that I'm going to be focusing on for the next couple of years.
I'm sure you're familiar with one of our local advocates, leaders, founder and CEO of My Block, My Hood, My City, Jamal Cole, and he talks about that as well in terms of making areas and spaces safe for all of our children to be able to go and hang out and do fun, creative stuff, and getting kids to come from where they have their immediate block and get into understanding the city as it is now, but also the unique greatness of the history of the city of Chicago for all communities. And he's been a real big voice there. And I know that you've been an advocate of the work that he's doing.
Yes, I think what Jamal is doing is absolutely wonderful. I love local leaders stepping up, right? Like, not everyone has to be a public official, but what are you doing to impact your local community, your local block? And so I love the work that he's also doing to advance the work of young people, right? Young people in Chicago get such a bad rap, but no one is talking about the young people who are getting straight A's, who are getting into 25 colleges, the ones who are volunteering at their church every Sunday, or who are interning with me at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. No one is talking about those young people, and so we need to be uplifting the narrative of all of Chicago's youth.
Absolutely. Well, listen, as we wrap up, it's been great having you on. I was looking forward to talking with you and excited to have you on the show this morning. You have been a real leader and a real champion, and I'm gonna you threw it in yourself, but how can folks either follow you? How can they volunteer? How can they get involved? Because we're definitely going to have you back again in the weeks to come. But how can folks say, yeah, let me get involved with what Commissioner Brady-Davis is doing?
Absolutely. You can go to waterisprecious.org. You can also follow me on Instagram, Precious Brady-Davis. We also have our board meetings the second and fourth Thursday of the month. Come and see the work that we're doing with transparency, with integrity, looking out for the taxpayer. Glad to be accessible for folks' questions. Follow me on social media, PreciousBradyDavis.com.
Commissioner, thanks for being with us this morning. You're a champion in this space. We really appreciate all your hard work and the leadership that you're showing to make sure that one of the most important resources that we have here in the city, in the state, and the country is being cared for with precious hands like that, huh?
Thanks for having me. Nothing is more precious than water.
There you go. Thanks for being with us. Have a great day and a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, let's take a quick break. 773-763-9278. We'll be right back.
Do you keep putting off that much-needed dental work? You know, that back molar that zings whenever you drink something cold, or that old loose crown that migrates up and down like a yo-yo every time you eat? This is Dr. Anna Pellick from Total Dentistry and Palatine, and procrastination keeps me very busy. A simple filling becomes a root canal, or that chipped tooth breaks again and now it becomes a bridge or an implant. Time is the enemy, and dental problems don't get better on their own. So if you procrastinate because of anxiety, we have solutions. If you procrastinate because of cost, we work with insurance plans and have easy payment options. And if you procrastinate because you're too busy, we have early 6 a.m. appointments, late evening, and Saturday appointments, and even one-day treatment. So now that I've eliminated most excuses for not seeing us, stop procrastinating and join the many who tell us, why did I ever wait so long? So give us a call at 847-358-2477 or visit us at totaldentistry.org. Total Dentistry, a general dental practice like no other.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
It's Choose Views with Richard Chu on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Hey, Progressives, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. As we wrap up, thanks so much to Commissioner Precious Brady-Davis for being with us this morning. She is definitely one of those leaders in an area that's important, like I said, locally, but without a doubt. If we're taking care of our water in local communities, that means that we can take care of our waters throughout the state that we're in and throughout the country. That's an important conversation that we have to keep having. All right, let's try to wrap up real quickly. Let's grab a couple of quick calls. Gordon from somewhere in the 630 area code. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Hi, Richard. You were talking to Karen about having the Trump voters who want to come into the light. And, when they do, we can't turn them away. We've got to welcome them into the light, but we got to treat it kind of like AA almost. If you get into one of those 12-step 12-step programs. They make you, first you have to admit you were wrong, and you have to ask for help.
Yep.
But then, and if somebody comes to you, they've already done that. All right. But then the next thing they make you do is you have to make amends. So if you've hurt somebody, you have to go out and apologize to them. You have to say, you know what, I was sick, I was wrong. I'm sorry. And I think it's perfectly fair if somebody comes to you and says, I don't know what I was thinking, I voted for that guy. You need to say to him, what are you going to do to make up for it?
Gordon, I got to tell you, this is where the big hearts of being progressives shines. I mean, it takes a big heart for someone like you to say that and to acknowledge that, because you're right. At the end of the day, you're right. I agree with you. Let me just keep this plain. We want to allow those folks, if you want to say it that way, to be back into the group. But they do have to go through those steps, or some of those steps, like you said. They can't just take it like this, Gordon. They can't just show up at the picnic and say, "I'm here."
No,
they've got to. See, I made you laugh. They've got to show up and stand on the sidewalk or the curb and say, "I made a mistake. I want to change. How do I do it?" And they do have to make amends. I am firm, because if we waste our time with those folk rather than the people who know they made it, that have already said, "Damn, I messed up," and they're doing the work, those people will turn away from us.
Yeah.
So you're right, Gordon, and that takes a big heart for you.
And it is self-reflection. You have to look at yourself. You have to think about, what you did. And I love, bringing up the 12 steps, and because I'm very familiar with those steps. And yeah, absolutely. And you have to make amends. Where to do so will not harm the person. Yeah.
Good point, Gordon.
Absolutely.
Gordon, we got to keep it moving, man. Thank you so much for your call, and appreciate your contribution to the show.
Thank you for having the show, and thank you for doing what you do. And when are you going to get this show on Sirius XM?
Listen, man, you are from your mouth to God's ears, and Sirius XM's ears too. So, Gordon, be well, brothers. Thank you for that.
You too.
All right,
Thank
man.
you.
Have a good weekend. Really quick, Cindy, make it quick, girl. Welcome to the show.
Hi. I'm just calling about Opus Dei, which Catholic cult, and they have a Catholic Information Center bookstore in Washington, D.C. Peter T. Byrne, he's the one that got J.D. Vance into finished with the so-called saint that was ordained by the conservative John Paul II. He said it's unfair to blame Hitler for killing 6 million Jews. It's unjust because he almost 4 million. This is what we're up against, and they have had a strategic plan in infiltrating courts, politicians, the whole 9 yards station. There's a really good book by Gareth Moore called Opus, The Cult of Dark Money, Human Trafficking, and Right-Wing Conspiracy Inside the Catholic Church.
Hey, Cindy, do me a favor. Do me a favor. I don't mean to cut you off, dear. We're having a little bit of a challenge hearing you, but do me a tiny favor. My email address is richard@wcpt820.com. Send me the titles of the books and the name of the books. I'm familiar with it, but send me that, because I'd like to shed a little bit more light on it. I'm just having a little bit of a tough time hearing you, dear. Is that okay? Would you do that for me?
Sure, thank you.
All right, Cindy, have a great weekend. Stay safe. All right. So listen, guys, the capsule of what Cindy was trying to say is that there's folks inside of the system, faith-based folks, that have tweaked it. They were part of the recruiting of J.D. Vance, and they're part of the brain trust of what he's doing. There was an interesting piece, Karen, that I saw. Yeah, there we go. Opus. Got it. There was an interesting piece that I saw, guys, day before yesterday with the Pope passing away, that speaks to how the country has, I'm going to use evolve as the best word I can come up with, back during JFK's ascent. oh, we can't have a Catholic president.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us who are old enough to not maybe remember that specifically, but we remember from what we studied in recent history as we were, coming through school. And we can't have a Catholic president. No, it's going to mess. Now we have 6 Supreme Court justices. Henry's looking at me. Just say it, Richard. That have, based on what a lot of people are talking about, some are afraid to talk about it, based to what Cindy was just saying.
Sure.
So,
because there are 2 brands. I mean, and
yes.
so, there's the JFK brand of,
who
Catholic.
He even said,
right.
I got to hold the line on that. My faith doesn't direct me as president.
But, I know plenty of progressive Catholics.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Well, we elected one, Joe Biden.
Exactly. Anita, my podcast partner, she was raised.
Catholicism. It had nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with that.
But there is this, opus, this book. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. But,
we all know, especially here in Chicago, a very Irish Catholic
Oak Park
city, and region. So let's just be honest. The thing that we cannot do as progressive liberal Democrats is shy away from talking about the stuff that we need to talk about to make change. And this is one of them. All right, guys. Karen's been with me today. The second hour has been fun, and she's tried to, she tried her damnedest to drag me into the gutter.
Oh, I'm dragging you down. When we come off the air, I'm going to drag you right into the gutter.
Just all kinds of nasty stuff. But Michelle tried to do that this week as well.
We got to start the weekend right.
Michelle tried to do the same thing. Kurt Mullet tried to do it. Kurt Herner tried to do it.
Right.
But there's hope. And I don't say that lightly. Someone that I guess you could say followed, as an actress that I followed, who always brings the heat. She is not one to mince her words. And it's Friday, and I want to give you guys a little something to chew on this weekend. We got this clip from actress Jennifer Lewis that I think you guys will appreciate.
You will have no victory erasing our history, because we will rise up from dawn to dusk. You'll have no victory erasing our history. Ain't nobody scared of you, Elon Musk. You'll have no victory erasing our history. We stand at 10 billion strong. Oh, you'll have no victory erasing history. The whole world knows right from wrong. Have you forgotten? Our ancestors died so we could be free. Oh, say, can you not see from sea to shining sea? It's not me, it's we. And 10 billion of us agree. You will not erase democracy. You will not erase democracy. You will not erase democracy. Now let me tell you what the world will remember. What you did last November. We're gonna be all right, y'all.
From the words of actress Jennifer Lewis, we're going to be all right, y'all. But we got to stay in the fight. If you want that clip, just send me an email. I'll get it to you, Richard at WCPT820.com. All right, guys, make it a great weekend. Stay safe. Do the things that we say you should do, which is get out and about if you're here in Chicago or anywhere else in this great United States that we live in. Take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you next week.
This is your WCPT Progressive Calendar. Wednesday, May 14th at 11:30 a.m., the Lincoln Forum and the Union League Club of Chicago present a candid discussion with former and current Chicago alderpersons on how Chicago's government really works inside City Hall, understanding Chicago's aldermanic system. Retired alders Michelle Smith and Leslie Hairston and current alderman Raymond Lopez are among the panelists. Mike Flannery moderates. The event takes place at the Union League Club of Chicago, 65 West Jackson Boulevard in Chicago. Get your tickets on Eventbrite. Thursday, May 22nd at 12:30 p.m., the Buffett Institute and the Center for Communication and Public Policy at Northwestern University's School of Communication present America's Soft Power and Reputational Security in Crisis, a lunchtime conversation with USC Professor Nicholas J. Cull. The event is free and takes place at 720 University Place in Evanston.
Don't you wish your life came with a